The sky above Earth changed forever on a cold morning in March. Commander Park stood on the bridge of the orbital defense platform when the alarm started screaming. She looked at the screens and felt her blood turn to ice. 3,000 alien warships had appeared from nowhere. They hung in space like a wall of death, blocking out the stars. For 140 years, humanity had believed they were alone. They had built cities on Mars. They had sent miners to the moons of Jupiter. They had looked up at the night sky and dreamed of meeting other life. Now that dream had become a nightmare. The alien ships were massive. Each one was the size of a small city. Their hulls were black and covered with strange patterns that seemed to glow with purple light. Had studied war her entire life. She had read every book about strategy and tactics, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. A message came through every screen on Earth. Every phone, every computer, every television showed the same face. It was not human. The creature had gray skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond shape. Its voice was cold and mechanical. "People of Earth," it said, "I am Emperor of the Dominion. Your planet now belongs to us. You have 1 day to surrender. If you do not, we will take it by force. Your species will serve us. This is not a request. This is your reality." The message ended. Silence fell across the world. Watched the panic spread through the command center. Officers were shouting into their communicators. Some were crying. She understood their fear. Earth's entire fleet was only 400 ships. They were small and weak compared to the alien monsters hanging above them. General called an emergency meeting of the United Defense Council. Leaders from every nation gathered through video screens. Most of them wanted to surrender. They said fighting was hopeless. They said humanity would be destroyed. Listened to them argue for 3 hours. Then she asked to speak. "I have studied these ships," she said. Her voice was calm and steady. "They are big, but they are slow. Their weapons are powerful, but they fire in predictable patterns. And there is something else. Look at how they move. Look at how they position themselves. These aliens have never fought a real war. Every species they have met has surrendered immediately. They do not know what it means to face an enemy who will not give up." General leaned forward. "What are you suggesting, Commander?" "I am suggesting that we do not fight their war. We make them fight ours. We are smaller. We are faster. We know how to hide and strike and disappear. They expect us to line up and die. We will not give them that satisfaction." The room went quiet. Then General did something that changed history. He gave command of Earth's entire fleet. The deadline came and went. Earth did not surrender. The Dominion opened fire. Their weapons fell from the sky like rain made of fire. Seoul burned. Tokyo burned. New York and London and Cairo burned. Millions of people died in the first hour. The screams of the dying filled the radio waves. Watched her home city disappear under alien fire. She felt something break inside her, but she did not cry. She did not scream. Instead, she felt something harder than steel form in her heart. It was hate. It was determination. It was the promise of revenge. She turned to her crew. Their faces were pale with horror. "They want us to beg," said. "They want us to fall on our knees and weep, but we are human. We do not beg. We do not kneel. We fight." She ordered the broadcast systems activated. Every surviving screen on Earth showed her face. She stood on the bridge of the with fire reflecting in the windows behind her. The Korean flag was painted on the wall beside the united banner of Earth. "People of Earth," she said, "today we learned we are not alone in the universe. Today we learned that the universe is cruel and hungry and filled with monsters who think we are weak. They came here to harvest us like wheat. They came here to put chains on our children and work us until we die." She paused. Her eyes were like black fire. "They were wrong. They do not know what we are. They do not know what we have survived. We have survived ice ages and plagues and wars that killed millions. We have crawled out of every grave that history has dug for us. We are humanity. We do not break." She raised her fist. They came to harvest, they will leave as dust. Across the burning planet, something strange happened. People stopped running. They stopped screaming. They looked up at their screens and saw this small woman standing against the end of the world, and somehow, impossibly, they believed her. In the ruins of Seoul, a young pilot named Shin pulled herself from the wreckage of her home. Her family was dead. Her city was gone. She had nothing left except rage. She looked up at the alien ships hanging in the sky like dark gods. Then she looked at the broadcast playing on a cracked screen nearby. She saw Park. She heard her words. Smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had found a reason to live. She started walking toward the nearest military base. The war for Earth had just begun. 6 months had passed since the sky burned. The Dominion controlled Earth's surface. Their soldiers marched through the ruins of human cities. Their flags flew over the ashes of human dreams. They believed the war was almost over. They were wrong. Commander Park watched the battle reports from her hidden command ship. The aliens had made a mistake. They thought that capturing cities meant capturing hearts. They did not understand humans at all. In every occupied city, resistance fighters struck from the shadows. They attacked supply lines. They ambushed patrols. They disappeared into tunnels and sewers before the aliens could respond. They had never faced guerrilla warfare before. They did not know how to fight an enemy they could not see. In orbit had developed a new strategy. She called it the swarm doctrine. Human ships were small and fast. Ships were massive and slow. So instead of fighting directly, human pilots would attack in groups of 20 or 30. They would strike hard, cause damage, and vanish before the big guns could aim at them. It was working. In 6 months, humanity had destroyed 200 ships. They had lost many pilots doing it. But for every human who died, they took aliens with them. Captain was oldest friend. They had grown up together in before the invasion. Now he was her chief weapons designer. He had spent months studying captured technology, and he had finally found a weakness. Their shields are strong, explained to one night. But there is a frequency that can break through. The problem is range. We need to get within 500 meters of their ships to use it. 500 meters. That was suicide distance. Any pilot who flew that close to a warship would almost certainly die. Looked at the weapon designs on the screen. Build it, she said. They called it the KX-7. It was a plasma rail hybrid cannon that could punch through any shield, but using it meant flying straight into the enemy's teeth. Lieutenant Shin was the first to volunteer. Had changed since the invasion. The young woman who had crawled from the ruins of Seoul was gone. In her place was something harder, something that did not fear death because she had already lost everything worth living for. I will do it, she told. I will show them that humans are not afraid. The mission came 3 weeks later. A carrier had separated from the main fleet to chase a decoy signal. It was alone. It was the perfect target. Launched her fighter from the 20 pilots flew with her, but she was the one carrying the KX-7. The others would provide cover. She would deliver the killing blow. The carrier saw them coming. Its guns lit up with purple fire. 2 human pilots died in the first 10 seconds, then 3 more. The space around the carrier became a storm of death. Did not slow down. She pushed her engines to maximum and flew straight at the monster. Alarms screamed in her cockpit. Warnings flashed on every screen. She ignored them all. At 1,000 meters, a piece of debris hit her wing. Her ship started spinning. She fought the controls and forced it straight again. At 700 meters, her shields failed completely. She felt the heat of enemy fire passing inches from her hull. At 500 meters, she pulled the trigger. The KX-7 fired. A beam of white light shot from her cannon and hit the carrier directly in its reactor core. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then the entire ship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the darkness of space. Flew through the explosion. Her ship was burning. Her instruments were dead. She could not see anything except fire and debris. She should have died. Everyone said so later. But somehow, impossibly, she made it back to the... Her ship crashed into the landing bay and skidded across the floor in a shower of sparks. Emergency crews cut her out of the wreckage. She had burns on 60% of her body, but she was alive. They called her the Phoenix of Earth. The story spread across the planet and gave hope to millions. But was not satisfied. Destroying one carrier was not enough. She needed to change the entire war. The answer came when her engineers captured a damaged scout ship. Inside, they found something precious. A fold drive, the technology that let ships travel across the galaxy in seconds. Stood over the dismantled engine and smiled for the first time in months. Stood beside her. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "I am thinking," said, "that they have ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. I am thinking that no one has ever brought war to their homes. I am thinking that they have never felt what we feel right now." She looked up at the stars visible through the window. "We are going to change that. We are not going to wait for them to destroy us. We are going to take the fight to them. We are going to burn their worlds and break their empire. We are going to teach them what happens when you attack humanity." Felt a chill run down his spine. He had known since they were children. He had never seen this look in her eyes before. "Can we do it?" he asked. Turned to face him. "We have no choice. If we stay here and defend, we lose slowly. If we attack, we have a chance. A small chance, but a chance." She put her hand on the alien engine. "Build me a fleet that can cross the stars. We have work to do." 2 years had passed since the Dominion came to Earth. In that time, humanity had changed. They were no longer victims. They were hunters. Commander Park stood on the bridge of the first human ship capable of crossing the stars. It was massive and black and bristling with weapons. Behind it, 1,200 more ships waited in formation. The United Earth Fleet was ready for war. Remembered the day she had presented her plan to the Defense Council. Most of them had thought she was insane. "We cannot win a defensive war," she had told them. "Every day we fight on Earth, we lose more people, more cities, more hope, but they have never been attacked. They have conquered 100 species and not one has ever struck back. They are undefended, their people have never known fear." She had pointed at the star map showing space. "I am going to teach them." Now, 2 years later, her fleet hung in the darkness between stars. Their first target was a planet called Prime. It was a factory world where they built their weapons and ships. Destroying it would cripple their war effort. Stood beside on the bridge. He looked at the coordinates on the screen. "The fold jump will take us directly inside their defensive ring," he said. "They think that is impossible. Their entire strategy depends on stopping enemies before they get close." Nodded. "That is exactly why we are going to do it." She turned to face her crew. These were the survivors, the ones who had lost everything and refused to die. They had spent 2 years preparing for this moment. "Today," said, "we do something no species has done in 800 years. Today we bring war to the Dominion. Today they learn that humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget. Humanity fights back." She raised her hand. "Jump." The stars stretched into lines of light. Reality twisted and folded. And then, suddenly, they were there. 1,200 human ships appeared inside the defensive ring of Prime. The defenders were not prepared. They had expected any attack to come from outside, where they could destroy enemies at range. Instead, human ships appeared directly above their planet. By the time they understood what was happening, the battle was already half over. Lieutenant Shin led the fighter assault. She had recovered from her burns, but the scars remained. They covered half her face like a map of everything she had survived. She wore them proudly. "All fighters follow me," she said through the radio. "Target the orbital command station. Take it down and their coordination falls apart." 300 fighters broke away from the main fleet and dove toward the spinning station above the planet. Ships tried to intercept them, but they were too slow. Human pilots flew through gaps that should have been impossible. They danced between enemy fire like ghosts. Reached the command station first. She fired her weapons directly into its shield generator. The shields flickered and died. Behind her, more fighters added their fire. The station started breaking apart. "The station is falling," reported. "Their communications are down. They cannot coordinate their defense." On the bridge of watched the battle unfold. Everything was going according to plan. They were confused and frightened. They had never seen enemies appear from nowhere. They had never fought attackers who were not afraid to die. "All ships," commanded, "focus fire on the planetary shield generators. I want those shields down in 1 hour." The United Earth Fleet obeyed. 1,200 ships concentrated their weapons on specific points around the planet. One by one, the shield generators exploded. In 6 hours, it was over. Prime's defenses were destroyed. Human soldiers landed on the surface and captured the factories. The workers surrendered without fighting. They had never imagined this was possible. But something else happened that day, something that would change the galaxy forever. Prime was not only home it was also home to slaves. The Dominion had conquered many species over the centuries, and they used them as workers and servants. Thousands of these aliens watched from their cages as human soldiers marched past. One of them, a small creature with blue skin and large eyes, reached through the bars of its cage. "Please," it said in broken language, "are you here to help?" Had given specific orders about this. She had known they would find slaves. She had planned for it. "Open the cages," she told her soldiers. "Tell them they are free." Word spread faster than light. The humans had come. The humans had won. The humans were freeing slaves. Across the Dominion, oppressed species heard the news and began to hope. The Emperor watched the reports with growing horror. His advisors told him it was a single attack. They told him it meant nothing, but he could see the truth in their eyes. They were afraid. "These creatures are insects," he said, but his voice shook when he said it. Broadcast a message before leaving Prime. It was transmitted across the entire Dominion. "My name is Park," she said. 2 years ago you came to my world, you burned my cities, you killed my people, you thought we would break. You were wrong." She paused. "Now I am coming for you. Every system you hold I will take. Every slave you keep I will free. This war will not end until your empire is dust and your name is forgotten. You wanted to meet humanity. Now you have." She smiled. It was not a kind smile. "You should have left us alone." Across the galaxy, slaves painted her face on walls. They whispered her name in the darkness. They called her the Unbroken. The war was just beginning. 4 years had passed since the war began. The Dominion was breaking apart. Commander Park looked at the map in her command room. 14 star systems now flew the banner of Earth. 14 worlds that had once belonged to the enemy, but more important than the planets were the people. 3 alien species had joined humanity's fight. They were small and clever with blue skin and brilliant minds. They had used them as engineers and scientists. Now they built weapons for Earth. They were tall and strong with 4 arms and skin like stone. They had used them as soldiers and laborers. Now they fought beside human marines. They were swift and graceful with wings that let them fly through the air like birds. They had used them as servants and entertainers. Now they piloted fighters alongside Shin. Had not expected this. When she first planned the invasion, she thought humanity would fight alone. She did not know that 1,000 years of slavery had created a galaxy full of people waiting for someone to lead them. But leadership came with a price. Captain came to her quarters late one night. His face was tired, but his eyes were excited. "It is finished," he said. "The Genesis protocol is complete." Felt her stomach drop. She had ordered to study the possibility months ago, but she had hoped he would fail. "Show me," she said. Led her to a research lab deep in the heart of the. There, on a platform surrounded by scientists, sat a device no bigger than a human hand. It glowed with soft blue light. "This device can collapse a star," explained. "We send it through fold space into the core of any sun. It triggers a reaction that cannot be stopped. The star explodes. Everything in that system dies." Stared at the weapon. With this, she could destroy the. She could end the war in one strike. She could kill billions of aliens and save millions of human lives. "No," she said. Blinked. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean we will not use this weapon," turned away from the device. "Seal it, lock it away, make sure no one can ever activate it." "But think of what we could do," argued. "We could end the war tomorrow. No more dead soldiers, no more destroyed cities. We could win." Spun around, her eyes were fierce. "And what would we become? They destroy entire species because they can. They burn worlds because no one can stop them. If we do the same thing, we are no better than them." She pointed at the weapon. "We are not fighting this war to become monsters. We are fighting to prove that humanity is more than just another predator in the darkness. We liberate. We do not exterminate. That is what makes us different. That is what makes us worth following." Was silent for a long moment, then he nodded. "You are right," he said. "I am sorry. I was thinking like a soldier, not like a person." Put her hand on his shoulder. "We all make that mistake sometimes. The important thing is to remember who we want to be." The Genesis Protocol was sealed away. Never spoke of it again. Weeks later, they made their last desperate move. Emperor gathered every ship he had left. 8,000 warships assembled in the corridor, the final passage to the. If humanity could break through here, nothing would stop them from reaching Prime. Studied the enemy formation for 3 days. It was impressive. 8,000 ships arranged in layers of defense, each one supporting the others. A direct attack would be slaughter. But had not survived 4 years of war by attacking directly. "Send the signal," she told her communications officer. "Tell our friends it is time." Across the galaxy, hidden fleets received her message. Ships emerged from asteroid fields. Warships rose from the surfaces of dead moons. Fighters poured out of nebulae where they had been hiding for months. They had been so focused on humanity that they forgot about the slaves they had abused for centuries. Now those slaves had ships. Now they had weapons. Now they wanted revenge. The Battle of the Corridor lasted 72 hours. They fought with everything they had. Admiral, their greatest commander, led the defense personally. He was brilliant and ruthless and utterly without mercy. But he was also surrounded. Human ships hit them from the front. Ships hit them from above. Battle cruisers crashed into them from below. Fighters swarmed around them like angry insects. His flagship fell on the 3rd day. Shin led the boarding party herself. She fought through corridors filled with soldiers. She cut down everyone who stood in her way. When she finally reached the bridge, she found waiting for her. He was old and tired. He looked at her with something that might have been respect. "You fight well for an insect," he said. Raised her weapon. "We are not insects, we never were." She pulled the trigger. When the battle ended, 6,000 ships had been destroyed. The corridor was open. The road to the lay undefended. Broadcast one final message to Emperor. "Your Emperor told us to kneel," she said. "Your empire tried to break us. You burned our cities and slaughtered our children." She paused. The entire galaxy was listening. "We did not break, and now we are at your door." On Prime, billions of aliens looked up at the sky and waited for the end of their world. The sky above Prime turned dark with human ships. 4,000 vessels from a dozen species hung above the jewel of the Dominion. For 1,000 years, this world had ruled the galaxy. For 1,000 years, no enemy had ever come this close. Now the Empire's heart beat with fear. Commander Park stood on the bridge of the and looked down at the planet below. It was beautiful. Blue oceans and green continents and cities that sparkled like diamonds. Billions of lives, billions of stories, billions of futures. She could destroy it all. Her fleet had the power. One word from her, and this world would burn just like Earth had burned 5 years ago. But that was not why she had come. A message arrived from the surface. Emperor wanted to speak with her. His face appeared on the screen. He looked older than his broadcasts, tired, defeated, but there was still pride in his 4 eyes. "You have won," he said. "I offer you terms of surrender." Shook her head. "I do not want your surrender, I want justice." "What justice? You want me dead. You want my people enslaved. You want revenge for what we did to your world." "I want a duel." The word hung in the air. Everyone on both sides stopped breathing. "A duel," repeated slowly. "You know our traditions." "I do. Your people have used duels for centuries to humiliate conquered species. You make their champions fight your warriors, and when they lose, you use it as proof that you deserve to rule. I am offering you the same chance." Leaned forward. "You are a fool. My champion is Lord. He has never lost a fight. He has killed warriors from 50 species. You are small and weak and human. He will destroy you." Smiled. "Then you have nothing to fear except the duel. If your champion wins, we leave. If I win, you surrender everything. Your empire, your ships, your slaves, everything." It was an insane gamble. Everyone knew it, tried to talk her out of it, begged her to let someone else fight, but refused. "This is not about strength," she told them. "This is about showing the galaxy who we are. If I fight and win, it proves that humanity earned this victory, not with tricks, not with numbers, with courage." The duel was set for the next day. They fought on the steps of the Imperial Palace, broadcast across the galaxy. Billions watched as Park walked onto the ancient stone platform where champions had fought for 1,000 years. Lord was waiting for her. He was massive, 9 feet tall and covered with muscle. His skin was gray and thick like armor. His hands ended in claws that could tear through metal. Looked tiny next to him. She wore simple combat armor and carried a single blade. Nothing special, nothing impressive. Laughed when he saw her. "This is the great human leader," he mocked. "This little creature, I will kill you in 3 moves." Did not respond. She simply raised her blade and waited. The signal came, charged. He was fast, faster than something that big should be. His claws swept towards head with enough force to cut her in half. She was not there. She had studied fighting styles for years. She knew how they moved. She knew what they expected. And she knew that their greatest weakness was their arrogance. Expected her to block. Instead, she dodged. He expected her to retreat. Instead, she moved closer. Every attack he made found only air. Every opening he left, she punished with quick cuts that drew blood. 15 minutes passed, was bleeding from a dozen wounds. He was tired and confused and angry. This was not how duels were supposed to go. Conquered species fought with honor and died with grace. They did not dance around like ghosts and cut you apart piece by piece. "Stand still," he roared. "Fight me properly." Circled him slowly. "Why? So you can kill me easily. I am not here to follow your rules. I am here to win." She struck again. Her blade cut deep into his leg. He fell to one knee. For a moment, looked up at her with confusion in his eyes. In tradition, a fallen opponent was supposed to be given time to rise. Attacking someone on their knees was against their ancient code. Did not care about their code. She raised her blade, and then she paused. She dropped her weapon on the ground and stood before him unarmed. Stared at her. "What are you doing?" "I am giving you a chance," she said. "Attack me now, kill me if you can." Every in the galaxy was watching. Their tradition forbade striking an unarmed opponent. It was the deepest taboo of their warrior culture. To do so was to become worse than an animal. Hesitated. In that moment of hesitation, drew a hidden blade from her boot and drove it into his heart. He fell slowly. The greatest warrior of the Dominion died on the steps of his own palace, killed by a small human woman who refused to play by the rules. Stood over his body and spoke to the watching galaxy. Your traditions built an empire on the backs of slaves. Ours built one from ashes. You thought power came from size and strength. We knew it came from the will to never give up. She turned to face the palace where watched from his window. Your champion is dead, your fleet is destroyed, your slaves are free. This is the end of your empire, not with fire and death, but with justice. Emperor surrendered that night. 1 year later, a statue was unveiled on those same palace steps. It showed a human soldier carrying the banner of Earth, surrounded by aliens from a dozen species reaching toward the stars. Park attended the ceremony with End. They stood together and looked up at the statue they had made possible. We thought they would shatter us, said softly. Shook her head. They made us remember what we are. Humanity does not shatter, we bend, we bleed, we burn, but we always rise again. She touched the base of the statue, where a single phrase was carved, in every language of every species humanity had freed. It read, from Earth with fury, for all with hope. The galaxy would never forget.